let's talk social media. You might have seen the word BSky popping up on your social media platforms recently and wondered what on earth it is. Basically, it's an alternative platform to Elon Musk's X, which I am still calling Twitter. Everyone I know is still calling that Twitter. And in terms of its colour and logo, it does look quite similar. It's growing pretty rapidly and picking up around 1 million new sign-ups a day. Are you one of them? Are you someone who has migrated from Twitter to BSky already? I haven't done it yet. I am very much still on the old Twitter whilst having a bad time. Joining me now to discuss all of this further is Dr. Liam McLoughlin from the University of Liverpool. Morning, Liam.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Hello there. Thank you for being here because, I mean, I've been talking about BSky and Twitter. I am still calling it Twitter because I just feel like that rebrand was terrible on Elon Musk's part. No one calls it X, do they?
No. Well, he does, but no one else.
Well, he does, but no one else, yeah. But the thing is Elon Musk a big reason as to why people don't want to use Twitter anymore, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think where you need to start this conversation, start to the beginning of Twitter. Like, why did people use Twitter 2006, 2009, and so forth? Because you got to remember, the first MP to join was 2007, right? And there was this it was a neutral platform. People were happy to speak politics there without being too attacked. And Elon Musk has changed that. He's made it into this, he's politicized the platform, that's for certain. Some research has come out the other day, actually, where two American researchers have found that, was it the 13th of July, the date Elon Musk endorsed Donald Trump, the platform changed in terms of Republicans getting far more views, more engagement on the platform. And they think they've actually changed the recommendation feed to make it unpalatable to people. It's no longer this neutral platform. So, yeah, I think Elon Musk is the major reason why people have stopped using Twitter, well, X.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because you would imagine that these massive platforms that sway so many people in terms of what we believe, because we see the amount of misinformation as well that can fly around on social media, you'd think that there'd be a bit more regulation. You'd think that one guy can't just buy a thing that millions of people use and use as a connection to the outside world.
Well, previously, if you even look at the platforms like, Facebook, which is predominantly owned by Mark Zuckerberg, traditionally, platforms have been very hands-off when it comes to politics. It's been very neutral. So this is the first time, really, you've seen a platform bought out quite aggressively. You've got to remember, he just kind of announced that he was buying it against people's kind of will in many instances. And that's the first time that's really happened. So no one's been prepared for it. So there should probably be some regulation that comes out of this. It won't happen during the Trump presidency, that's for sure, especially with his close ties to Elon Musk. But maybe afterwards, we may start seeing greater calls for people to check about who's buying these platforms. Are they competent? Are they doing it for the public good? And if you were to look at instances of Twitter, you probably go, no, he's not buying it for the public good. He's using it as a campaign tool to boost his own ego in some instances. So, yeah, I think we need to be a lot more critical about, who's owning these platforms and putting some guide rails in place to stop this from happening again in the future.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating as well, Liam, that the Guardian newspaper last week confirmed that they'd no longer be posting on X. They said, we think that the benefits of being on X are now outweighed by the negatives and that resources could be better used promoting our journalism elsewhere. I've seen lots of this over the last few weeks or so, where quite big publications or organisations generally are saying, yeah, we're done here. The more that happens, surely the less legitimacy it gives a platform like Twitter.
Yeah, definitely. And the reason why most of these people are leaving is, the utility of the platform has gone. I've been speaking to some journalists in the past, and they were telling me that the design changes that's happening on X, the algorithmic changes, has effectively stopped people clicking through onto news websites. And that's really important for news websites. People clicking onto the websites, how they're funded often. Not in the case of the BBC, obviously, but for places like The Guardian, ad revenue is really important. Now, if platforms are trying to stop that from happening, well, the utility's not there anymore. And it's the same for MPs as well. Simply put, MPs will be where citizens are. as well, right? They want to be where they can talk to constituents. And if that's not really the space for that to happen anymore because of the changes that's happened, especially during the kind of the US president election, they're not going to use it anymore. There's no point of putting resources into something. So you can see where the Guardian's coming from. But the question you've got to ask is, when it comes to legitimacy, is does Elon Musk or the people who want to stay in the platform really care? You know, they might be quite happy about where the platform's going. They've shifted the politics effectively of that public space to something they find more kind of enjoyable.
This is the problem, though, isn't it? Because what we should be doing when we're online. I think one of the great things is that you end up learning about different kinds of people. You end up chatting to people, hopefully not absolutely having a go at each other, but people with different political views, different outlooks on life. And what will happen is, with people saying I don't like X or Twitter and I don't like Elon Musk, then moving to Blue Sky or Threads, people are putting themselves even further into their own echo chambers.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the things that makes this migration shift to Blue Sky so very different, in part because in the past, when people have shifted to platforms, it's because it's called what's called a killer app, this idea that there's something new or there's a feature that people can't live without. And the reason why people move to Blue Sky is predominantly because of politics. And you're right, it could lead to this idea of a fragmentation of the public sphere. It could lead to what's called balkanization, where you start seeing lots of more angrier, smaller, politicized communities where what we've seen in the past is this, as you said before, this public agora almost, where people can talk on this kind of neutral, equal basis and kind of really hash out ideas. Well, that's the idealized version anyway. If you were to look at kind of any social media platform last couple of years, that's a bit idealistic as a viewpoint. We tend to follow people we agree with.
Absolutely, yeah, that does happen. But I must say, I've had conversations with people that I've never met before online, and they've changed my view about something because they've explained it to me in a way that I didn't understand before, and I'm sure vice versa as well. It is, like you say, quite a utopian ideal of what social media should be, for sure, but it is possible. Just finally, people who are moving over to Blue Sky, there might be people, Liam, who are listening who don't have a clue about Blue Sky at all. What are people finding good over there? What's good about that platform? Because it does seem like, I've tried other ones. I'm not on Blue Sky, but I tried Threads, and it just didn't feel right for me.
Yeah, I think in many ways Blue Sky took what made Twitter quite good and kind of just transplanted it with a few extra features, right? So it's effectively a very similar situation to what you'd find on Twitter. In fact, if you were to go into Blue Sky and you were a Twitter user, you wouldn't find that it's too dissimilar. But there are some notable features. The first of which is, the content moderation is quite different. People can have what's called block lists now. They can effectively have a greater control over their online moderation system. And I think that's quite a good thing, in the sense that people have a bit more power about who they can and can't see. Again, that could have some political ramifications, but for online safety, offers a much better, safer environment and protection against misinformation and bad actors. Because a lot more people now feel like they can take action, where previously people felt like they were reporting things to Twitter and it just wasn't going anywhere because of Twitter's or X's content moderation rules. So there's that, but there's also it's a lot less pay to win, in the sense that Elon Musk obviously introduced this idea of paid verification, and if you really wanted to be seen on that platform, you had to be paid. And that's not really a feature on Blue Sky. It might happen in the long future. You never know.
Well, that might pull me in, Liam, quite honestly, because I'm a true Yorkshire lass. I'm not paying for anything that I don't need to pay for. And I'm sure there are lots of people who feel exactly the same way. Liam, thank you so much for being here this morning. Thank you so much for talking us through so many of these really interesting social media questions that we're asking ourselves. It is a part of our lives now, isn't it? Dr. McLoughlin there, lecturer at the University of Liverpool, who specialises in this sort of thing, communications and social media. Just gone 8 o'clock.